Oh, here we are with Tanto Monta, ready to start playing, supposedly. I brought the scenario book up so I could check the one thing that I wasn't certain about. This got bumped. Well, it's the North Africans are at war with Portugal, which I think is what I assumed, but I wasn't positive, so I needed to look that up. I should have the cards dealt at this point. I look for the sequence of play, right? I expect there to be a play that tells me how to kind of handle the game right from the beginning. And, well, it's a little weird because the card draw phase does things like place the Mesta marker. I think it starts here no matter what this turn. It doesn't get randomized. But then I get to the receive the home cards, find, shuffle the deck and deal cards, return discarded resources to the pool. Okay. Why would you be discarding? I don't know. Okay. But the only thing that I think takes any effect is dealing the cards. Well, that's not specified here. And in fact, I don't know if it's anywhere except on these damn player aids. The sequence of play is here. Okay. But luckily, it does exist on the player aids. But, you know, I'm going to have to refer to these pretty regularly. So we take a quick look for Spain. It is spelled out somewhere, but it's not spelled out right here where you would expect it. I don't know where it's spelled out. Maybe on the per nation rules. So Castile will get points equal to the ruler's charisma, which is going to be 4 cards. And Aragon will get 2 plus successful rolls for the kingdoms. Okay? That's not on here, nor is a... and here it says I can play all 3 home cards each turn, which I didn't think was the case. That's not on here, so I have to find that, and there's no rules reference to get me where it is. So I'm already running into problems where the plaids and whatnot are not giving me the information I actually need. And this is information I have to look up all the time, right? So we'll look at the power rules, which is I think where this is all spelled out. And France's are complicated too, I'm sure. There's also roll you die for each house, yeah. But I'm gonna have to look up to see how Navarra is handled. Did they give a card? Shit like that. So we're gonna be struggling our way to get into playing the game even at the most basic level. And again, you know, I think it all goes back to one key sin that this game has, which is using a CDG for this burdened a system. And Virgin's Queen is just as problematic, or is problematic as well. Maybe not as bad, but at least for this poor schmuck, I like my CDGs to be relatively easy. I want that CDG system to be doing the heavy lifting for me. And where I run into problems is where the games fail to let it do so. Where either there's too much complexity to the events, which appears to be the case in this and has been in several others that I've seen recently, or, you know, in this one, so many fucking special rules that it's not baked into the cards. It should be baked into their home cards and whatnot. It shouldn't be. The point of a CDG is to lift some of the burden of the rules and whatnot and moving on to the cards. And I feel like the more recent ones have been failing to do that completely. All right. Anyway, Let me deal out the cards and we'll get started. I don't entirely trust my shuffling, and I did quite a bit, but with these armored cards, it's a pain in the deck. A pain in the deck, yes. I decided, okay, look, I'm going to do the Muslims first because they're the first ones in order here. So I look here, and they're going to be simple. Equal to the ruler's charisma. Charisma, 4 cards. Excellent. Gibraltar and papacy, those special rules don't apply. But then I hit one. If 2 or more North African keys are held by another player. So I got to look. North African keys, what is held? It looks to me like Portugal is holding 1, which is not 2 or more. So, although, what are North African keys? Are they keys that belong to the North African power, in which case Quetta is not one, or is Quetta one of them? Great. Okay, so we look to see if cards are dealt with there. Because this is what we're going to be doing throughout this game, is looking up these rules when we can remember that there is a rule, and we find nothing. How about that? We got North African Alliance, maybe that tells me. Yeah, we got no description of the cards here, do we? North Africa's keys. If 2 or more of their home keys are not controlled. Okay, so their home keys, so this is written differently. If 2 or more North African home keys are not controlled by the Muslim, that's different from are controlled by another player. Potentially. Why is it different? It's different because there's these 2 that are sort of North African home keys, but are left in some sort of limbo state. I'm going to say that doesn't apply. And I could look in the example of play, and maybe that starts on turn 1 and tells me. But I'm just going to say that doesn't apply. So we're looking at 4 cards for them. Now, because I don't want to deal out all the cards for one country at a time, I'm going to put a 4 here. And then we go to the next country. Well, what is our next one? Our next one is Portugal. So we look for their player aid card. And what do they say? The ruler's charisma is 5 cards. Now, I believe this is in addition to the home cards, but we're not sure about that either, right? So where does it give us draw cards? Not in cards and resources, I think. In draw cards to this base number of cards. Hold on. Each player is... All right. If it's turn 2, new cards are added. Each player has dealt a number of cards equal to charisma and possible bonus cards from these sources. Add or subtract cards, if any. These new are combined with the home cards. Okay. So these will be additional cards drawn to your home cards. So you can already see, I got like a 6-card hand over there. That's fine. So here we're looking at a 5 card. 2 or more Portuguese keys. I'm guessing those are home keys. I could look it up again, just like I did with the other, and look for where that is. Page through all here. Oh, Portuguese keys. So North Africa's keys was the last thing in the Muslim power list. Portugal's keys is the second thing in the Portuguese list. So I can't even expect to find things where I would look. And it's home keys again. All their home keys are definitely controlled, so no penalty there. Foreign war, tribal insurrection is not there, so we're at 5. So we'll put a 5 there, just to remember what we're doing. Now, who's next? Next is the Spanish players, which is not this one. Okay. Now, as we try to make enough room on the table to play this game, needing all these extra resources, etc. All right, Castile is equal to the ruler's charisma. Well, charisma is 4. Variable, Aragon, 2 cards on turn 1. Okay, that gets me up to 6. Then add cards gained from successful rolls for kingdoms. That's this. Now, the 2 cards is here, but Additional cards, whether or not this is an odd or even turn. This is an odd number turn. Control of the spaces. Okay. Valencia. Do I own Valencia? So now we go look for that. Looks like I do. And with a yellow color. So I roll a die for that. On a 4 through 6, I get an extra card. What am I at? I don't remember. I lost count. I think I'm at 6. Okay, so no there. Catalonia, I do not have Barcelona. Mallorca. I have Mallorca. So on a 6, that's mine. Okay, so now I'm up to 7. And Cagliari is over here. So that'll be on a 5 or a 6. So I think I'm at 7 cards. I think it's going to be hard for me to remember numbers as I do all these die rolls and everything, right? There's no easy reminder card for that. Nothing to keep track of it, especially since I have to page through the rules each time. So now I'm set 4, 5, 7, and we go to the French. And the French will be here. And then we got to remember, we rotate this way instead of my usual counterclockwise. We're going to actually be operating clockwise in this game, which will also be a confusion for me. All right, French cards. Must control the most significant of the space. Well, and then what? Come on, fucking help me out here, game. Don't make me read a goddamn book each time I want to look up a rule, okay? This is why the SPI rule numbering system is so useful. You would have a reference that gets you directly to where you want to go, not to the whole procedure, right? Unfortunately, GMT doesn't like to do that. They like to write big novels so that you have to work to find the actual rule you want to find. Oh, I got buddies. I mean, not me. Across the street there are buddies. Some deer just hanging out in the rain. It's not really raining that bad. Okay. But this is the kind of enjoyment we're going to take in this game is, you know, instead of trying to figure out what's going on and what the historical stuff is and paying a lot of attention to that, what are we paying attention to? How to count. That's what we're doing. That's what the big effort is this turn, right? And at least at this moment. And that's really infuriating. That's not where I want my effort to be in a game. I don't want to be looking up and trying. You know, looking up rules is fine. You got to do that to some extent. I don't want to have to look through a fucking, I don't know how many paragraphs to try to figure out where my number is. So here's all kind of shit about how I can get the points up and victory points that I get, and then loyalty for this. And now for each house to be eligible to grant a card, I have to control the space. But that's not it. Is it? Don't I get to roll something here is about rolling a die, isn't it? Like I'm rolling a die against that number, and I can't find that. Okay, must be earlier. The maximum number that the French player can roll on a single die during card draw in order to gain a card from that house. Okay, so, but they're not all the same. That makes it even more fun, doesn't it? House of Foix is different. Okay, let's just do them first. Foix means I need Pamplona. Where the fuck's Pamplona? I have the feeling I'm not holding it. It's part of Navarre. So, I cannot roll the die for Pamplona, right? Unless it says this. It doesn't. Exception, the most significant space for Alençon. Okay. So, Armagnac is Auch. I own Auch, and now I look up Armagnac, and I look for them here, and it's hard to see. They're this one. I need a 1. Now, I don't remember what I started with anymore. Cards drawn. Roll for each house. Perfect known. Papa Bull. Four noir. Four noir. Charisma's base. So my base is 3. Oh, joy. And we're going to stop after we get these numbers set and not even deal out the cards. Okay, a 1. No. Okay, so right now I'm at 3 on the French. I got to keep that there. Let's get more blue dice. Okay, that was 1. Orléans. I'm sure I have it, but I want to make positive. I do. Where is it? It's over here. It looks like it's a 1. I get a card for them. We'll up that to a 4. Anjou is Poitiers. We look. This is really a fucking annoying thing. It's ours. Doesn't mean a damn thing to us, though. Where is Anjou? Anjou's at a 1. We don't get a card. Bourbon is Lyon. We have that. The Bourbon are, I guess that's a 0. Gonna have to go look up the rolls again for the setup. This was something I forgot about, was that most of these are set at 1, but I think they're not all. Like, this probably should be something else, but maybe I just missed it, so I want to look it up. Okay, so I was wrong. Bourbon, loyalty markers in its starting box, the one with the coat of arms only, 1 victory point marker in the 5 box. This is set up correctly. I guess the first time I expand it, I get it up to a 0, and there's no chance of the die being rolled. So where does that put us? Damned if I know. Who were we on? I don't know. We were on the 0 there. That's Bourbon. Foix Navarre. They're also on the no chance. And Alençon, I do not have to have a place, but I have to look for them. And it looks like they're on the 1 space. And so I get nothing. So these are the number of cards that each player gets. And I am going to quit for now, because trying to figure out how many cards each player gets was painful enough for me not to want to play anymore. Simply that I had to look things up. It's the amount of steps I had to go through to look things up, to make sure that these are supposed to be sitting here on the shields and not. But more than anything else, it's this feeling that I'm not really doing anything that, feels all that historically grounded. Sure, the French are interested in, accomplishing more power with their nobles and getting better control over the country. There's no question of that the little charts reflect something, but it feels so like disconnected in a lot of ways that when you start putting certain mechanisms in play, and cards are already one of those, right? Cards are already one that I feel disconnects the game from, the situation that the leaders are actually facing. Because they're not looking at a hand of cards and trying to figure out which cards to play, right? They're looking at the world map and thinking about how to move and everything. And one of the things I always find with CDGs is right off the bat, just taking that system takes me a little out of the experience that I want to be having that reflects something that that someone is actually accomplishing, right? The king is not sitting there looking at a menu of cards. And I've got the same problem with coin. I'll say it with the levying campaign, that both of which I like better, but in terms of their grounding. But it's like, I'm not looking at a menu of a Chinese menu of options like I am in coin, or a set of different, of cards that give me my different options. That's not the kind of thinking that I'm doing. Now, am I looking at a spreadsheet like I am in EU? Yeah, maybe not really, but I am apportioning my cash right? I have a certain income, and it makes sense and it grounds better for me. And I just feel like I'm playing something closer to what at least the combined powers of the combined personages in my kingdom or whatever are actually doing. What they're not doing is they're not looking at menus, and they're not looking at a card to decide, am I doing X, Y, or Z? They may be looking at how do we apportion the entire budget, and that feels very linked to a spreadsheet. If I can, just give you a feel for what is wrong for me with a lot of these modern designs, right off the bat, they take me out of the spirit. And that, makes me not want to play as much. And it makes it so that the look up of the rules and everything just pushes me over the edge towards, yeah, I could go masturbate instead, Not what I'm going to do, but it's one of the choices. Definitely raining now, and I found myself doing the unpleasant task of starting to clean my bathroom, my main one. The one up here needs cleaning too, but it's not horrible. But I get so much buildup in the toilet of, I don't know if it's the hard water or if it's just like, whatever, urine or whatever. But I always seem to get these horrible buildups in whatever toilet I use the most. And it's not easy to clean. Anyway, I dealt out all the cards. I noticed something I hadn't caught, which was a +1 card here. France gets an extra card from Roussillon, which is not actually listed here, but they had this +1 card marker on there. I had to look up why it was there in the scenario book. Again, game state represented in a lot of counters does not make it easy for me. It does not make it easy. So, that was the card draw phase. I don't know about this discarded resources to the pool. We don't actually do that, I assume. So why don't we look that up? See what the fuck's up with that. Okay, it's here. Draw resource. Pools of naval and caravan resources. For a settlement that does not currently hold a resource, randomly draw a naval resource marker. Then add a caravan to Marrakesh and Fez. Why do I discard? Why do I discard? I've got the draw resources, which isn't in here in the card draw phase. Well, there's deal new. I guess that's return. There's going to be a pile of discards next to each. Those get thrown into the pool. Okay. So the next thing we do, I guess, is put a resource on each of these. Now, the Muslims, I think, are allowed to look at these. Oh, there's already one in each. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. So some of it's already set up. Diplomacy, not on turn 1. Good, we avoid that. Spring. All right, it's the headline events. Each player is going to choose an event and a supporting card. Now, like I said, there's the possibility of killing mandatory events this way, which is something to keep in mind. Who do I want to do first? I don't know. This is painful in so many ways. Let's take a look at the Spanish cards. So they have a response, sack. And this is one of the problems with CDGs, is every turn you're faced with a new set of rules, right? The hand of cards you have. It's not just points you can use, it's these special capabilities. Do you have to look up a lot? No, but you have to consider the manifold of choices you have, and it's different each turn in a way that, I see the appeal to it. Maybe I liked it at one point, but it's become more and more a burden on me every time I play a CDG now. And I'm really thinking that I'm going to stop buying CDGs. It's such a shame because a topic like this, nobody's putting out like, you know, an EU type game on this, right? Which would have been great. All right, so I've got a sack. Play after capturing a fortress or key by assault. I get bonus resource, possible card, all kind of good stuff. I probably want to keep this. Obviously, it's not something I'll play as an event. French court intrigue, reduce the loyalty of 2 French noble houses by 2 levels each. If I really hate the French, I want to do this. It's not a bad card, though. It's only a 3 CP card, and I get to hurt the French and get 2 CPs out of it anyway. So this is not a bad card, but it's also not a fantastic card. So I got to think of this. Master of Siege Artillery. After seeing both sides roll in an assault, attacker rolls 3 extra dice. All extra dice hit on rolls of 3. Could be really useful on a siege. Allows immediate assault to take place against the space besieged in the same impulse. The attacker gets an extra die. You know, but it's only a 2-point card. So far, I'm not coming up with anything that I particularly want to play as my headline, although I could do this. Diplomatic offensive. Increase your influence by 2 levels with an Italian minor of your choice, or 1 level with Navarre or the papacy. I guess the papacy is not considered Italian in this. Now, optionally check the diplomatic status of a minor other than the papacy. Okay. Deactivate any minor power from their current ally. I don't know. Is anybody allied with anything? No. So, just so many fucking choices. Ransom. Choose 1 player's dungeon on their player card. Immediately return any number of captured leaders, even if the leaders chosen are owned by multiple powers. The owner of each returned leader chooses the space to return. Space must be controlled. So this is a useless card right now. But again, like this one, it's a 4-point card with 3 CPs of action. So yeah, it might be kind of cool. I won't want to play it as my thingamabobber. I might want to play this one. I don't know. Poisoned Wine. Select a leader counter on the map and place it on the turn track. He re-enters. Okay. Not appealing unless I'm facing a really nasty leader, which I don't think I am. This is a 5-point card. I want this for actions. I don't want this for anything else. Heavy Cav. Not playing by Muslims. Opponent must remove 1 unit for each cav you have present in the battle. If you are the French player, your opponent removes 2 for each of your French cav units. Do I have cav? Damned if I know. There's 1 here. It's hard to, to see the entire state, and I don't have, again, I keep comparing to EU, but in EU, I'd have a sheet of paper or whatever that tells me the size of all my armies. I get to look at that all at once. Here, they're spread out on the map. I understand the value of counters, but when you have cards that you have to decide, this one, I'm tempted to use this as a backup card if I don't find anything else. Okay, now I have my 3 cards. This is the one that lets me retrieve a card from the discard pile. It's got a counter, I think, in the French deck. In their home cards. It's this one. Play as a response to cancel the play of Tanto Monta, Monta Tanto if it was played to retrieve a card. So, unless the French play theirs, I don't want to play this. What does this say? Headline event support is only 5 CP instead of 6. Move Ferdinand to a space in Aragon or Castile, free of unrest. I think I want to hold this no matter what. Seat of an empire, add 5 land or naval units to any home spaces. More than 1 regular can be recruited, but otherwise those units cannot contain more than 1 unit of each type. Up to 3 of the units may be placed in a space in the Canary Islands that is either a control port or contains a Castilian leader not under siege. So I am here at some of these. I could funnel some troops into the Canaries if that was my focus. I don't feel like that's my focus right now, although I do hold 4 of the smaller Canary Islands. What about Crown of Aragon? Move a single leader in Spanish formation from a Spanish home key to a controlled space by the rules of spring deployment. I don't know. The special deploy. See, this is the problem. I'm like, I got no idea how to play the main game and how it's going to play out. And here I am deciphering all these fucking cards, right? Which are fairly complicated. It's not, it's, and it's the first thing I got to do is this headline event. And it's going to be every turn having to do this. It's not a mechanism I particularly like. And at least in Here I Stand, I kind of remember looking at the cards and feeling like, yeah, I want to do that. You know, I want to do this major thing that, like, you know, shifts the religion or does this or whatever. Here, I don't have that kind of grasp. I've got too much complexity on the board, too much complexity on these, and no real solid position, right? Like, nothing like, you know, the setup phase in EU that I much prefer to this, but whatever. So I can do this, whatever it is, move stuff around, add 4 units to any home spaces. Yeah, I don't feel like I need troops, but maybe I do. I don't know. So what am I looking at? Well, 2 CP of actions. What am I going to fucking do with 2 CP of actions? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and now we got to figure out how my cards are going to be placed because this is going to be complicated. That's my hand of cards. These are the 2 cards I'm going to put up. One of them is a backing card. How do I determine that? I don't know. I want the diplomatic offensive as my main card, and I want the other as my backing. And again, I've like done one thing, right? It took me, I don't know how long, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't know what amount of time. It took me a significant amount of time to figure out what one card I want to play out of my hand and backing card I want to play. And this is a problem with CDGs. When you have a full hand of cards, and the hands aren't huge, Spain's is the biggest at 10 cards. 7 cards plus 3 home cards, one of which I can't use. You know, if I remember all that, which is about the size that I was seeing in Clash of Sovereigns. That's too many cards for me to pay attention to. If you're going to make the cards complex like they are in this game, I don't want more than like 4 or 5, right? Which doesn't work well with a CDG. What you really want, I think, is, yeah, do you want an event on every card? Sure, but most of them probably not applicable most of the time. I had a few that aren't applicable. Those heavy-handed home cards are really a pain in the ass, and I feel like they're getting more and more complex than they were in Here I Stand. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, it's break time again. I don't know what I'm going to do. Kind of like I didn't get very far on the bathroom, but I don't want to do that particularly. Probably just watch some videos. And then I'll come up and I'll play another card. And that's about the level of play that you're going to see here. It's about what I can deal with. And it means that I'm never going to have a grasp of what the strategy is, of what's going on, of what the picture that the game represents is, because I'm so fucking focused on the card play or on the individual special rules or all that I never really get a good picture of what the world is like in this game. And I didn't feel that problem with Here I Stand. Am I older? Yeah. But they're also getting heavier and more complex and throwing more and more burden on to the players. and more problems getting in your way of trying to make the decisions. What do I want to do with Spain? Yeah, you know, I kind of know. I want to resolve the Civil War situations. That's what I want to do. But I don't have an easy answer for what to do about that. With Portugal, well, I probably want to support the Beltranejos. I might want to do something here, and I want to support expanding into the world. All these things. How do I want to adjudicate between them? Yeah, that's complicated, right? It's not clear that I'm getting an income, although I am from resources or whatever, as I expand into the world. That's the only engine I have in this game. Compare that to the economics of like an EU. When you start doing economics in these card games, it's like, oh, you do this to get you an extra card. This is what I faced with that Time of Wars. There were all these tracks you played with to give you extra cards. That's kind of like this shit. Of course, these give you die rolls for cards and whatnot. But it's just not the same picture as, I can get, you know, I put an investment of 20 ducats in, and I can get an extra 15 a turn. That's a good deal. Here, I don't know, I'm going to try to do some stuff and maybe see if I get where I want to go and whatever, and can set up things and have things happen that fall in nicely, and I got no fucking clue. Let's look at the Portuguese choices for their headline event, whatever. Boarding and capture. Capture a now of an opponent. That's not going to be happening, so I'm going to pass on that. Capture an enemy naval squadron eliminated by you in naval combat, but add it to your fleet with a captured marker. Whoa! Are those on the back of the loans? There we go. Okay. I didn't know that. I had read a rule about captured before and did not know what happened. Okay, that could be interesting. I don't think I'm going to be involved in naval combat, so I'm going to put this aside in the, hey, I don't really need this. Defending in a field battle or assault, roll extra dice. Sounds like a cool card. Organized retreat. Avoid battle with a land unit stack without rolling dice. This could be cool, but on the other hand, I'm more interested in getting rid of that. Consolidation of power. France gets loyalty of 3 noble houses by 1 level each, or 1 noble house by 2. The phasing player then takes 3 CPs of actions, 4 if you're the French. If all houses were already at maximum, France gains victory points. This is one that I don't mind throwing out. So if I want, like, I'll probably play this for the 4 CP, right? Unless I cut some deal with France. But I probably want to play this for the 4 CP. But if the headline event is really important to me, and remember, there's a victory point at stake for that. So maybe miss it between kings, draw 2 cards from the deck and 1 naval resource. Then select and give any 1 card to another player. This is a really cool card that I would like to play. France is my ally, forced on the first turn. I'm going to put this into the mix as a possible headline event. These are possible backers. Joanna, choose a collection of Beltranos home spaces that fall into either controlled you occupy, containing no enemy units, or controlled spaces that are completely unoccupied. A collection. Then roll a die for each in the selected group. What makes it a collection? Do they have to be adjacent? I don't know. For each space in the selected group, to see if you can add a unit to that space. On a 6, add a regular. On a 5, add a militia. Or on a 4, reroll if a 4. Rolls of 1 to 3 or misses. Then get 4 CPs of actions. Gain 1 VP if Beltranos control a home key. So, I could play this with the 4-point backer. I don't really want to play this as a headline event because I might lose it, which would suck. Overseas Kingdom, add 2 militia and a naval squadron to home spaces. Add a now, then conduct 2 naval moves. I do not have a now to begin with. And this would be very valuable. But again, do I want to risk this unless I'm backing it with the consolidation? Yeah, with the consolidation of power card. I don't think so. Which comes down to the, hey, do I want to play a really good card and back it with something big? I think the answer there is yes. And the way I represented it on the last one was like this. I'm going to play the missive between kings with a 4-point backer. This might get me a victory point, so it's kind of cool for that. It strengthens France. I get rid of the backer card that I don't really want to play for the event, even though that also helps France. I kind of don't like playing a big card for the headline event, but all my options for an event that I wanted to play were ones that I did not want to not get. So I went with that. Of course, that means I'm not holding a powerful card in my hand, like, right? So the powerful card I'm playing here, plus the powerful backer that I'm playing, my 2 home cards I have to play. So now I'm left with a handful of shit, but I can only hold 1 card anyway, so whatever. Let's do another one. Maybe we'll get them all set up here. Diplomatic movements. This event must be played as a headline event or as the first card in the player's action card phase. Wow, that's choose and discard an additional card from your hand, then deactivate any minor power. Now, I could get an ally out of this, because after deactivating, if you're eligible to have the power as an ally, activate them immediately. You do everything you can. I could get Venice. Doesn't really help me. I could get Genoa. I don't really feel like it's terribly helpful. And I could get Naples. None of them feel like they do a lot for me. So I think I'm just going to... So this event must be played as a headline, but it's not a mandatory event, which means I can play it for the 4 points no matter what. So this becomes kind of a, whatever. Albuquerque. Portugal places a now in the built nows box or in a settlement if they have less than 2 on the exploration map. Well, they have less than 2, but they don't have any. So Portugal then takes 2 naval moves. Don't want to do it for that. Portugal advances its influence marker with the minor power Florence or Naples. Don't particularly want to do that. This is a great card for Portugal, but Portugal doesn't hold it right now. I'm going to put this in the pile of interesting backers if I need one. Leadership, reroll dice that missed in a field battle. This could be useful in battle. Play after you roll dice in any field battle or assault and add that number of hits equal to the battle rating of a leader plus 1. But that kills the leader. Kind of don't care what. Like, I might use that as a backer. I kind of don't like it. The Muslim can declare war on a major or minor power at no cost and then take 6 CP of actions. Huh. If a field battle or assault occurs as part of these CP, the Muslim may eliminate one of his own infantry or cavalry in exchange for a play. This is really interesting. I could kick things off right at the beginning. Now, I am already at war with Portugal, so I can't declare war, but it's a may. It gives me 6 CPs of actions by playing this, but I want to make sure it gets played if I play this. On the other hand, I don't have an event that I particularly want to play. I don't know if I can play some garbage like this as a headline event. I don't think I can. Sultanate of Fez. Add a cav, a regular, or 2 militia to home. Advance your influence for a minor 1 level. Other than the papacy, you can now resolve diplomatic status. Declare war on a power during the impulse at no CP cost. If the declaration of war is not against Spain, take 4 CPs of actions as well. This feels weaker than that. Can I use this as a backer? Yeah. Mandatories, I'm not sure. I don't know what to do with it. Alhambra, add any combination of 4 units, cav or regulars to Nazrid home. That's useful. The Nazrid aren't at war yet, right? They are not at war with anyone. As a Nazrid defender of an assault, force the attacker to reroll his attack with 3 fewer dice, or gain a victory point if you control Granada. I don't have any of these. This might be useful if I have Holy War up there. I think I'm going to play Holy War backed by Diplomatic Movements as my 4-point card. All right. Well, if we've gotten this far, we might as well get to the French. They don't have a shit ton of cards here. They have a response, and it's getting a little easier as I'm getting into the mindset of trying to figure out the cards. Spain had the most cards, probably the worst person to start with. Grant any player 5 extra dice in a naval combat. Interesting. Or, play for the Nazrid before they roll an attacker or defender in naval combat. If Kamal Reyes is in play, he may be loaned to the combat, add his dice, and he remains loaned to the Nazrid for the remainder of the turn. Then add 4 more Nazrid dice. Really powerful card. If naval combat's happening, I don't see myself using that. I'm going to put that here as a possible backer. Without previous declaration, choose an unfortified settlement in an ocean zone 1, 2, or 3 that belongs to an opponent. This I can't do. This is a huge, powerful card. I'm going to put it over here as a powerful possible backer. War against Burgundy. I have to play this. Place on this card 7 Burgundian units. France must remove 6 to 10 units from the map. And 1 leader, and place them on the foreign war card. Place a -1 card on the French. This is a horrible card. Can I play this as a backer? I need to look that up, because I would love to get rid of this. I don't want this right now. So I'm going to look at the headline and try to figure that out. I think I can. This is core rules type stuff that I really don't quite get. Diplomacy phase, we did that. We're in spring phase. The headline event. You secretly choose a home, mandatory or normal. Have that event executed this segment. Each player then chooses a second card which cannot be a mandatory event. So I can't get rid of this, but I can make it unlikely by backing it with this shitty response card. That's my most likely chance of not having to play this really awful card that I do not want to play. So we'll play it like that. I'll put these up like this. And is this what we're doing in spring phase? Headline event. Yes, we're handling it right now. So, first place. Now, I believe it goes in sequence if you're tied, right? Earlier in the impulse order, which is always Muslim, Portugal, Spain, France, which feels so wrong. Like, it feels like the headline event should, like, determine what's going on. Okay, who's in first? Well, we got a 4-point backer here with the Holy War. So that's going to be our first player to do something. He gains a victory point for a headline event, which we put here, and these have additional points on the back. That gives the Muslims a point. Going up to 16, it doesn't snake. I don't know if that's good or bad. And now we affect it. The Muslim may declare war on a major or minor power at no cost. Wait, is this what I wanted? I think so. Then take 6 CPs of action. If a field battle or assault occurs as part of these, I may eliminate one of my own infantry or cavalry units in exchange for eliminating an opponent of the same type. Wow, you know, I thought this is a cool card, but I don't know what I want to do with it, right? I got 6 CPs of actions at this point and a declaration of war. It feels like a waste not to declare war. Is there some restriction against me playing Nazarids? I don't think so. They're my main king, so I don't recall anything of that sort. So I have a few options. I can operate against the Portuguese, which would be useful. There's no question about that. And start taking some territory from them. What is that territory going to do? I don't know. What I'd really like to do is take Quetta. I recall there's bonuses for that, plus that's a home area. But at the same time, I could put myself at war with the Spanish, with Castile. And this is a big force of militia, etc., and grab Gibraltar, which I think also is good for me. So I am going to start out by declaring war on Castile. And so North Africa is at war with Aragon, Castile. Now I have 6 points of shit to do, and I want to do lots of shit. I think the most valuable thing for me to do is to put the hammer down on Castile, because they're in the midst of a civil war. Track this, I have 6 action points. Some games give you an action point track, whatever. That can be really useful when you have so many. I'm going to spend 1 to move this here and put that under siege. That entire stack can move there. I'm not allowed to roll right away. I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3 to take this location. Now I could be intercepted, but, and I mean potentially here too, although I don't know. Baja Nitros, I'm not at war with them. Okay. Which means I will spend 1 more to put this under siege. That leaves me with 1 action point left. These will both be discarded just to get them out of my way. And I'm not allowed to do anything about those sieges. Conceivably, they could fight a land battle against me, but I don't think they want to. That means I have 1 more point. That's not very big. I could take a naval action and move my fleets out and get them into a position. Now, a naval action is naval unit move. Units controlled by only 1 major power. Ooh, that kind of sucks. Kemal has a whole bunch of ships. I want to face the Portuguese with this. One naval move only allows me to move one space, though. So we'll put these out here with Kemal for that. So that is the Muslim turn. I'm feeling a little fatigued at this point. The next card is a 4-point card. And this is the thing, you get to, with the bids, you get a jump on everybody else, but then it falls into just, hey, the Muslims get the next action, whatever. So I kind of understand some of the feeling behind the headline events. Missive Between Kings. Draw 2 cards from the deck and 1 naval resource. Then select and give any 1 card, other than a home or papal bull, to another player. Sounds like I get those 2 cards in my hand and then get to choose, and I'll be giving something to the French. Could have given them this. But I don't want to give them anything too good. So the naval resource, let's take that. I've got 2 CPs there. I've got 1 regular here. This immediately turns into a regular who I think I have to place. I don't know where I'm allowed to place my troops. I mean, I know I'm allowed to place them in my home territory, but there might be additional options that I have, which I do not know. The other thing is this gets to be done before I get to do any redeployment or whatnot. So it gave, a spring forward for Portuguese effects. Quetta is a home key. How about that? I'm going to put the regular down in Quetta. I feel like that's my worst place right now, is maintaining power over here against the North Africans. So that's this chit, and this gets discarded over there, because it'll go back in that cup at the end of the turn. Now, I get 2 cards. Boarding and capture could be useful. I might be doing naval. I probably want this. Peasant revolts, put these in uncombined occupied. This looks useful. I could conceivably, these are my homes, can't give these away. I could conceivably give away the Emperor Maximilian. It's a 3-card payout, though. I'm going to give France the organized retreat card and hold the Maximilian. I'd rather they not know about this before I take my turn. I want to hold it towards the end of the turn to try to get them committed into Spain. Is my plan there. And I played this. This does not give me any points because it's an event. Unlike the Holy War, which gave like 6 CP that are played immediately. That puts me to the next one, and we got 2 players who are trying to get rid of stuff. Spain goes before France, so France has the bonus of not winning a card and going last, being able to ditch a card. Ooh. Second place, I didn't pay attention. Second place was Portugal. They roll a die. On a 1 through 5, no, on a 5 or 6, they get a point. A victory point. I got a 5. That's cool. I get my headline event point without having, had to win it. And that goes over here. And Portugal got a point. And then I affect the event. I didn't have to spend any of my admin for that. Third place gets to execute their event. They went with diplomatic offensive here. Increase your influence by 2 with an Italian minor of your choice, or by 1 with Navarre or the papacy. Then check the status of a minor other than the papacy. Or deactivate a minor other than the papacy from their current ally. Well, I want to increase my influence by 2 with a minor other than the papacy. This would be an interesting time, like Naples I already have a kicker for, but the thing is, this is not really the Naples time. I can't go to war. Well, I could go to war with France. This is French controlled right now, as is the papacy. Is Spain at war with France? Spain is at war with France. So yeah, I'm going to go for Naples, which is a fairly powerful thing. I increase it by 2. That brings it up to a 5. And now I can check the diplomatic status of the minor. Okay, to do this, I need to put a bookmarker and look up the diplomacy on minors rules, which is in the minors rules. Not a bad place for them. Okay. And we're trying to activate. How does this happen? Diplomatic status. Okay. If it's evaluated as a result of a declaration of war, it's not. It's evaluated as a result of an event. The objective is not the papacy. The player playing it competes against a player listed as either activate or deactivate who are at the same level of influence or higher. This player's influence is at the highest of all. He wins the procedure. Okay. That means that these will all go down to the resolved this turn, and Spain gets control of Naples. Let's keep going because there's more to it. But Naples is now declaring war on France and the papacy and whatnot. Interesting. Because these are French-controlled areas, so I can attack them. And I'm not attacking the papacy by doing this, right? Because they're allied. Cool. We rolled the dice, determine the winner. Activate. Okay, we go to the activation. We put an allied marker on Spain to Naples. And we have a not applicable. What does that mean? What the fuck, man? How come I can control it? Oh, that's the cost of a declaration of war. Okay. Yeah, I'm not allowed to declare war on Naples. And that's because there's a certain closeness there. Okay? Okay. Place square and triangular control markers on these places. That's going to give me some victory points as well. Now, remove control markers from key and strategic where the marker is. Units that are not from either the minor power or the activator. Strategic spaces and keys of this minor now have no control marker on them and are then marked with square and triangular markers of the activating power. So I will get one in Naples. That gives me 1 victory point. There are no triangles. These are not triangles yet. So I got 1 victory point for Spain. And then I get a bunch of hexes all over here. I think that's what it says. Remove control markers from any non-strategic non-key where the control marker is available. Units that are not from either minor power, non-strategic and non-key that have no control marker are marked with hexagonal of the activating power. Now, Atella has something special, but I think it's not there yet. I don't know. We're going to have to go look in the special rules for this. As we create a huge minor. And that's Rome, that's not mine. These, I think, mean that I can position in them for the winter and use them kind of like home keys. So I'm not going to go look that up. So we got ourselves set up for a war against France and the papacy there. Remove at war markers. That minor is no longer active on its own diplomacy at this point. So that's the Spanish headline. I got to swap batteries, and then we'll go to the French one. I'm feeling a lot better right now as I resolve these than I did looking at the cards. These go away. Okay. The final card is this mandatory war against Burgundy that I managed to deflate or deflect or something by playing a weak card and being last in the always sequence of play. Do not execute your event. However, you may move any player's influence marker on a minor power up or down one space on the table. Okay. I'm going to move my marker for Nevers forward a space. Now, here's the problem. In this case, I did not want this card to take place, so it's great, right? I managed to deflect this card and not get hit by it. And by the way, mandatory events, unless they're programmed, to happen by a certain turn, you can do this and avoid them, right? Pretty often. But because that card is just going to get shuffled into the deck, there's going to be more cards in the deck next turn. So yeah, there's no real guarantee stuff comes up. That's kind of cool. But I did cost myself a card. Now, not only did I lose this, you have to lose a backing card. It's kind of cool to only lose a 2-point card or whatever. But I also lost this, which would give me 3 points. But I really don't want this, right? I want to pursue this war with Spain. That was my initial feeling. Now I'm kind of, maybe I wish I had, set myself up to not be against Spain, because Naples is going to be a pain in the ass against me. So France is going to be facing problems. But honestly, if Spain is going to take that kind of violent action against me, I'm really glad not to be at war with Burgundy, right? All right. That's going to put me to the next thing, which is the Naval Squadron Transport. Each power with an explored ocean zone has the option to move a naval squadron. Nobody has one, so I can skip that. And then troop deployment. Everyone can move one formation of land units from a home key to a friendly space free of enemy units. And I believe this is just done in the regular initiative order. You must be able to trace a path, but the land spaces have to be kind of like a line of communication type thing. But I think you can cross sea spaces. 5 land units can cross a sea zone. But it can be blocked by ships in a port. Huh. All right. Let me think about the the players one at a time, and I'll come back as I figure this out. But right now I'm on the Muslims, and one of the problems I have is I don't have an obvious, yeah, I want to move out of here type of feeling. There's a lot of troops here. That's kind of threatening. I can't move to there or to there. So do I want to? Ew. I think what I'll do is I'll move Al-Zagrid here with his 2 strength points up to join this. And that, there's a couple of cav there. That gives me a better position against the Spaniards up in the north. That'll be his move. The Portuguese. Zhao is obviously my biggest stack on this. There's no ships here, so I could actually leave this. I couldn't go here. Actually, I could go there. That port is in connection with those. I think what I'm going to do, and again, I don't know if this is wise or not, is I'm going to move Zhao down here to Quetta. Try to take on the North African problem. Spain. Oh, it's each power, right? All major powers. So I actually could have moved 2 Muslim forces. I'll move these militia up there. Okay. Portuguese, they have the Beltranos as well. Or whatever they are. I don't know what they are called. Carrillo here. I don't want to lose keys. That's the problem. And the destination space cannot contain enemy units. To a friendly controlled space. Friendly controlled means that I could shift this cav up to join Alfonso. Or I could move Alfonso down to join these, which looks even better. Okay. Oh, but I already did one. Yeah, this is a mixed force. I can't do anything too useful with that. I'm afraid of Isabel here. I'm afraid here of losing the key. So the Beltranejos are not going to move there. What about these guys for their point? They're at a port. So I can shift them out of Jerez and up this way to join Alfonso. Let's do that to get a bigger force there. Right? Oh, wait, there's Spanish ships here. There's a limitation on Spanish ships. They're at war. Yeah, I can't do that. So without sea movement, and I don't think I can move across a pass. Can I? Cannot cross a pass. So I can't get out of here and over into the main of Portugal there. What does that mean? What is this? Wonder who controls that. I think the Muslims do. Okay. All right. No more Portuguese. What about the Spaniards? I got to think about this because I've got a lot of different directions I got to face. Castile is probably, let's see. I am at war with, or no, I'm allied with Naples. Who went to war? North Africa went, wait a minute. I didn't want North Africa at war with Castile. I wanted this at war with Castile. Why is there an NA? But I don't think I'm prohibited. That card didn't seem to prohibit going to war. Right? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to declare war normally, and I think that's why that card is so awesome. Let me look at how that card is worded here. That was, did I cheat? I don't know, maybe. That was Holy War. The Muslim may declare war on a major or minor and take... See, the Muslim is not one player. That's the thing. But I think I could throw both powers in. I don't think I want the North Africans involved in this, though. So I'm just doing what I did and hoping that it's legal. So yeah, so now the Spaniards have to decide how they're going to react to all of this. And on this side, that's not me. I have an ugly situation. I have Isabella and I have Mendoza. And, you know, I'm struggling with this civil war at the same time as Granada is like, has activated against me in a horrible sort of way. Obviously, I could flee with some forces. This guy's not, well, I don't know how important he is. But he can't go anywhere. This is what's her name's. But I could come out of Caltrava. I want to be careful because I have to maintain my mestas. But I will give that up. It's a victory point space. And yeah, I've got to make change and stuff like that. For Aragon, things are a little easier. I have a big force. I would like to take Barcelona. I know I'm only moving one space. That seems like a waste when I have these Neapolitans, but I don't have a leader down there. And I can't easily get there. Like, it just seemed like the obvious answer at the time, but I don't know that it was, to threaten the papacy down here. It doesn't really look too important to me. But whatever. And now France gets to redeploy. Paris, I can leave Paris. I have a huge force at Paris that I could pull down. I don't think I'm allowed to go into the Catalan territories. Time to look up special rules and try to figure them out. I don't think that the French army can go down to the Catalan territories. That's the problem. But I'm not sure. Like, Anjou, I know, can combine with them. Where do I want the French to focus? Well, taking something like Mets would be of some value. The problem, of course, with taking Mets, it gets me victory points. The Maximilian card is out there and could hurt me. I don't know what my restrictions are. And I don't know where I find it. Like, I'm hoping one finds it in the French special rules. But I don't know that they're all specified there. Oh, and then there's these treaties. So this is... Oh God, this is so weird. Okay, I can't do this till turn 3. Treaty of Barcelona cannot be signed on turn 1. I don't have anything that tells me if there's any special rules with French leaders, restrictions on French leaders under Catalonia. Till the surrender, French leader other than Anjou cannot enter the Catalan home spaces. That's what I thought. I am at war with all of Spain. So I could move up here with him. Could leave La Rochelle, for example, and shift a unit down. Oh, damn me. Could move the papal troops. Not very helpful to me right now, though. They can only stay within the papal areas, even though I'm allied. I'm not very allied. This is all set up to go attack Metz, so maybe that's my best move there. Another option would be to bring a huge French force down and fuck with the Spaniards. I don't really want to do that. Anjou is not as close as I'd like him to be, but he's pretty close. Oh, he's got combined forces. Huh. Ah. I'm going to move these two up here to support Anjou, because I think my main focus is going to be to try to keep the Catalans alive. But it looks pretty clear Aragon's going after them. That's going to put me in the action phase, and from now on, we go Muslim, Portugal, Spain, France directly. This is a good time to pause. But again, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable at this point in the game than I did when I was selecting the headline events. When they kind of took place, I feel like they've kind of formed the meaning of the term in a lot of ways. France is the most troubled out of all the countries, I feel, just because, I don't know, they have a very, very flexible position, I guess. The Spaniards have pretty severe goals they have to deal with these rebellions. The Muslims have done something funky, which is going to cause issues. All right. So I'm going to read a little and nap a little and probably be up at some point tonight. I don't know if you can see it. Got a rainbow going on here. I don't know if the camera actually shows it. It's like sunny out and still raining, you can see. But really was an impressive one that looks like it's really close to me. Like I could just go down a street and I would find it. I know better, but... Merry Christmas and all that. You know, it's not really raining. It might be drizzling a little. I don't see any signs, but everything looks very wet. Part of me was intrigued by, or felt a compulsion to like go out on a day like this. The special days and everything, I always think something magical will happen. Not particularly because it's Christmas, but because, well, first of all, nothing will happen if I stay inside all the time. But also, there's kind of an idea that there's a different spirit around these days. Just people out, anybody who is outside will be in a different state than the normal, so it's more likely something interesting will occur. On the other hand, it's supposed to rain, and I'm incredibly lazy. So I forced myself up here, having a hard time in terms of getting. I know I was feeling kind of excited before, after the headline events, but it's always difficult to approach something where I know I'm going to have to think and do stuff, right? All right, so here is the Muslims who are going first this turn. They only have 4 cards to choose from. That's a good number for me. I don't think anybody's got that few other than them, but that'll make life a little easier. I've got a resource here of 2 extra CP that if I don't use, it gets wasted. Other than my home events, I don't want to play anything for an event. I can only keep 1 card. Now I could keep this response card. That's not a bad choice as something that, like, if I need it, it can be used. Let's look at one of my things. Alhambra adds a bunch of units to the Nazareth home. Okay, that's great. It's 4 units in exchange for a 5-point card. Recruiting regulars is 2 points each, though, so it's a pretty good payoff. As Nazareth, defender of an assault, force the attacker to reroll his attack. This looks like it's some kind of reaction card with 3 fewer dice. Play after seeing both sides' rolls, or a battle card or something. It won't be a battle card. It doesn't actually say what it is, okay? Or I can gain a victory point if I control Granada. Now, gaining a victory point is probably a really good payoff in terms of the play of the game overall. Remember, that's the goal for it, but man, it's hard to give up a 5-point card. And the Sultanate of Fez is at a cavalry, a regular, and 2 militia to home spaces. That's going to be worth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. This was worth 8 points in units. But also advance your influence marker with a minor power 1 level on any track other than the papacy. And resolve the diplomatic status of another minor. There's no minor I really want to deactivate or anything like that. The only things I could activate are Venice or Genoa. And I'm not really sure either one gives me much at this point in the game. Okay, what about the or? Declare war on a major power during the impulse at no CP cost. If the declaration of war is against Spain, take 4 CP of actions as well. Well, I've already declared war on Spain, right? With my headline event. Probably shouldn't have done it, but whatever. I think what I want to do is I want to launch sieges. Let's look at assaults. Assault a fortified space is 1 point each. If I play either of these cards, I can only do in the space of that nationality due to this restriction here. But if I do this one, I can spend 2 points for that, and that'll give me an extra point. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to start by doing an assault here. Now, how do I do an assault? Well, unfortunately for us, we can't really remember everything, or much of anything. So we go back to looking things up. So let's say we do this one first. Now, are we allowed to? That's the first question. It's a port, and I don't have ships in that port. But neither does my enemy. My enemy has ships here, but I don't, oh no, that's not where I am. So this is another one that I'd be doing. Okay. So, my requirements. I need an LOC. Does not have a naval unit in an adjacent sea zone. It does not. Doesn't have squadrons there that I'm opposing. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do this one here first. So I've got 4 militia and I've got 2 militia and 3 regulars and a leader. Add up attacker's dice. Oh, I'm attacking the Portuguese. Maybe they have a response card they want to play. I don't think anybody else cares about them. I look for a response card. Here's a combat card. Defending in a field battle or an assault. Roll an additional die for every 2 of your units contributing dice. 1 die for each unit. I think I'm going to play this to help myself. It's not a response card. It's a combat card. I don't actually play it right now. The rest don't make a lot of sense. I want to hold this if I can. Okay. And there was nothing over here I wanted to play, right? Leadership, maybe. Reroll all of your dice that missed, or play after you roll the dice in any field battle or a result and add a number equal to the battle rating of a leader plus 1, killing the leader. Reroll all of your dice that missed. In this leadership roll, the dice only hit on rolls of 5 or 6. Okay, that's something I play. Even though that's a response, that gets played not during the play response phase, but after the roll. Okay. So we haven't played this yet, but we're thinking about it, right? Add up the attacker's dice. 1 die for each infantry in the assaulting formation. This is against one with no defending land units. Fortified space with 1 or more. 1 die for every 2 infantry units. So this is interesting. I think militia count as infantry for this. They're just not regular infantry. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to give me 3 dice. And yeah, the game's going to take a long time if I go through all this every time. Obviously, I'm not. But I'm trying to get used to the mechanisms here. 1 die for the battle rating from the highest rated leader. Well, that's going to give me another 1 die. And I guess I'll throw a blue die in for that. The defender will get 1 die for each defending infantry in this space. That's 2. And an extra die for being the defender. There's 3. Now, do I want to play this fierce defense here? 1 additional die for each unit. I'm gonna do this, and I'll throw in, therefore, 2 more dice. Now, these are the combat cards. Roll dice. Both players roll their dice, and I'll add up 5s or 6. Defenders hit with 4s. On the first die, they rolled 2 dice from regulars or from being the defender. They did that. Did they roll 4 or more from those sources? Well, this is interesting. So, I've got 2 dice from regulars. I don't think these extra dice here, even though they're 1 additional die for each unit, I don't think they count for that. So I think all I get is 1 hit on a 4 there. But the attacker gets his rolls first. I got 1 hit. Now I have the opportunity to add to re-roll all the misses that I got, which maybe I want to do. But right now I'm looking at a 1 hit. And here is the Portuguese dice. And the colors don't matter, even though 2 of them came from a card or whatever. Okay, they got 3 hits on me. That's not good. Let's look at the results. 3 hits is going to not wipe me out, but I am going to also play my response card, which is going to allow me to re-roll all the misses. These only hit on a 5 or a 6, because if I get 2 hits, I take the space. But I do not. So I cause 1 hit here, and the backside is militia, so we won't get that there. 1 hit here. And then we take a look at the defender. I don't remember. He did 3. 3 hits to me. Now, how are the hits resulting? 1 land unit for each hit explode if defending units are composed of units from more than 1 power. Yeah, I think I can take this all on militia, essentially. So I will take 2 militia and a regular. I still have enough strength points to besiege the city. And that's essentially the result there. If no attacking units remain, the attacker didn't score a hit, or any besieged land units remain, the assault is unsuccessful, and I get to stay. All right. I'll look at the second one over there, but I'm not going to do it on video. I just wanted to show, what's going to be involved, especially early on in figuring these combats. But honestly, because each type, there's only a couple types of combat, but there are different types of units and everything. I'm going to constantly be having to refer back and add things up to see what's going on there. That will not be on this player aid. Is there information on this one? Again, this guy is talking about print out these player aids. Some of them are really helpful. Yeah, there's already an information overload for me in terms of things that I have to go look up. I don't even see combat on here. I've got too much to go look up as it is. Printing out more sheets that I'm going to just be flipping through the rules looking for things constantly. That's just the way I work when you give me too much player aid. There's just no way for me to cope with a game of this much special cases that are constantly in effect. All right, and then I also have a point left in here, and I gotta juggle all this shit in my head, right? But whatever. And I'm attacking not a larger force, but one that's going to get more dice. I count that I get 5 dice here. 6, 7, 8 divided by 2 is 4, plus a leader gets me a 5th die. And I'm out of things that can help me. And then for the Spaniards, it's 4 dice plus 1 for being the defender, right? Yeah. Spanish did not have any cards that they want to play either, so I'll roll it up and see the results. This one's significantly worse. I got no hits here versus 3 against me. And you can see there aren't enough, the colored dice and everything, all very pretty and interesting and everything, and I love it, except that, there's not enough, I'm rolling 5, 6 dice per side or whatever. Anyway, so this was a failure, but again, nothing intriguing happens. Now, what the hell do I do with my last point? I don't know. I look through this list and try to find something that maybe will do me something. And this is the problem I had with Virgin Queen as well. So many different options, so many different choices. And sort of, you could say there's a fair amount of options, and here I stand as well. It's smaller though. But it felt kind of manageable because I knew what I wanted to do with the cards all the time. Like if you were the papacy or the Reformation, you kind of wanted to focus on your religious stuff, right? And if you were someone else, you had pretty limited goals to aim for, I felt like. Here, I feel like I have way too much with 2 powers each essentially and a lot of clutter and everything. Some of it's just the terrain of the map is such that I'm being given too many options, okay? And that's really, I think, the heart of what I didn't like about Virgin Queen. Too many options, too many paths to victory, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Too many things, different aims that I want to go for, and I've got to continuously be prioritizing them in real time in the CDG format, right? In EU, I have lots and lots of options, but when it comes down to calculating them out, you're like, yeah, I want to do some exploration. Yeah, I want to start some colonies, whatever. But you're not really like, you're doing it in that economic phase, and you're not being forced to like constantly just prioritize the one thing again and again, right? Because the way the costs work out, the way your capabilities are and whatever, you pretty much can balance things out. You can say, okay, I'll put all what I can into the thing I want to do most, but you can't put more than what you can. Here you can just keep throwing into the same thing. Like if I want to resolve these sieges, I can keep throwing points into them. Not right now, though. I can only do one in this impulse. I don't know what to do with this other fucking point. Probably build me some forces, I guess. Should I have done it before? Yeah, maybe. Militia would be helpful to me. So, unfortunately for me, although militia would be helpful, I have to bring them into play. Which is like, it's not like I built my armies during the economic phase and now I move them around using them as I will and have to deal with that. That's the EU model. Here, I've got this model where, yeah, I can build some fucking reinforcements, but they don't do me a goddamn thing because I barely can, I can't keep the siege going to any value. So I looked through the whole list. Do I want to move something? Nah. Do I want to recruit? Maybe. Maybe recruit a militia. Control a strategic space. None of this works. Initiate piracy is too much. I mean, I'll build a militia, but I think I'm going to actually build a militia here. Actually, I'll build it here. To help defend that against Joao. And that will put me on the Portuguese turn, so I'll grab their dice, put them over here on their cards to remind me where I am. I moved a piece as far as I'm concerned. I did something. That's about all I can cope with at this point. And that's going to be a real problem when I'm faced with this complex a pattern of things to choose. Same as in Vietnam. What was the game? Was there something I played recently that forced me into that kind of world as well? Clash of Sovereigns. I'm being given way too many things to deal with and cope with on what should be, in my mind, for a CDG, a very quick, I'm playing a card, I'm doing some things, okay, that's cool. Where I can get through a whole cycle of players without feeling overburdened. Here, playing that one card from the guy with the least cards in his hand and that had perhaps the most defined goals of all, with the die rolls, with the lookups, with everything, it's overtaxed me playing one card. Right, pushing myself here to move another piece, as it were. It's really how it goes, you know. The last couple of games I was lucky, right? I played Wellington's Victory, which is, you know, a nice little, nice big tactical game. A lot of time to get comfortable with it and used to any complexity that's there. And I'd done Ney versus Wellington before that. I did the Prime Minister one as well. Nice game, easy to get a feel for. But here I'm stuck with lots and lots of cards, lots of reading in each case. Okay, let's take a look at the first thing, the Emperor Maximilian. My decision on this was I want to hold this as late as I can. Now I have an admin of 1 and I can't hold this, so I'm going to have to, you know, if I'm going to hold a card, I've got to play this at some point, not the first card that I play, but before the end. But I don't want to play it early because I want France to commit themselves into an anti-Spanish situation. Little do I know, they may be holding cards that tempt them away from that. They certainly didn't set up in a particularly anti-Spanish situation. I got a response boarding and capture. This is useful to hold on to. Allows me to get a capture marker, which would be cool. Peasant Revolt's a bunch of unrest markers in unoccupied spaces on the main map. This is really a dick other people over. Now this might be worthwhile for me to play against the Castilian to try to cause issues within their territory and cause some sort of disruption. But I think it's probably best played for its points. Joanna. Now this is interesting because I'm not sure. Like, for example, these actions, if carried out with home cards, are limited to units of their specific power. I know that there are places in the game where this is the only thing that can let me move the Beltranejo. But I don't think they're right away, and the card doesn't tell me, does it? It says, choose a collection of home spaces that fall into one of these categories. Either controlled spaces you occupy. Collection doesn't appear to be a meaningful term. Like, other than, look, there's no definition, like it's not an adjacent collection or mutual, nothing like that. Controlled spaces you occupy containing no enemy units. Controlled spaces that are completely unoccupied. Then roll a die for each space. See if you can add a unit to that space. On a 6, add a regular. On a 5, add a militia. Reroll 4s. Rolls of 1 through 3 are mixes. Then get 4 CPs of action. This is a useful card. I might have wanted to do this as my headline. I don't remember what I chose. Or gain a victory point if the Beltranejos hold a home key. They do. And again, there's this constant, you know, do I want to pick up victory points or do I want to do something that helps me in the game, right? You've got this constant choice of generate victory points with no real value to it. And it's hard to tell just how valuable victory points are. But my feeling is that you want to extend your power. Now that may be a feeling that's based more on games like EU where, you know, like, I'm not expecting the Beltranejos to survive the game, right? Maybe the best thing I can fucking do is just bank a victory point each turn. Even Here I Stand has things like this. Like with the papacy, I think it's the papacy, doing artwork and stuff like that. Just being able to bank points. Instead of trying to improve your position. But they feel weak. I feel like 5 points, I should be able to do a lot with this big card. If I can't get a victory point worth of a lot, then a 5-point card isn't terribly useful to me, right? Overseas Kingdom, add 2 militia and a naval in Portuguese home spaces, add a now, then conduct 2 naval moves. That's very appealing, but I can't remember if naval moves allow me to explore. So I'll look here, naval move. All right, it seems to be the only thing that you can do navally. I don't see a different explore option. And now if I look at naval moves, and again, I got to look everything up because there's just too much going on here. A single player may never have, so we're talking about nous here, but I'm looking at, you must move to an adjacent location. You can only move to ports. Naval leaders, never on the exploration. No naval unit can be in a naval move if it was part of something that lost. This feels like it has nothing to do with this role, right? Because there's no exploration. But here, under naval movement and escorts, we have something else. We have all the information about how I can enter things, but none of this appears to be about exploration. Has to be adjacent. You're not adjacent if you're doing exploration. So it kind of feels like naval move is not how I explore. How do I explore then? See, I'm now moving. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any statement of making a naval move here in the nous, nor any other way that I can expend to cause this. Now, I look through here again. Wait, I got build send naval squadron to the exploration map. The odd thing is that nous are being discussed over in the naval movement role. Over here, when, as far as I can tell, you can't do them in the naval movement. Okay, here we have naval movement into sea zones but not ocean zones. Wait, let's take a look. Allows all naval units in nous of a single major power to perform a move. Now, what's weird here is this says then conduct 2 naval moves. If those are 2 naval move actions, it would allow me to sail all my units twice. See, here we have only nous can move between naval zone, ocean zones. And we've got ocean zone 1 is adjacent to the built now box. We don't have something that translates to this and tells me what those actually allow. I'm honestly uncertain. So naval movement procedure follows all this stuff, none of which has anything to do with the external map. Let's look here. Does it tell me something? And I still don't know if that's what I'd want to do, right? Like, I kind of feel like what I want to do is I want to worry about my situation in Europe, but now I'm lost because I don't know what allows me to move onto the rest of the world, right? This little chart isn't sufficient, and the rules don't appear to be sufficient either. Is there an index? The fuck is all this? Now, this is the list of victory points you can get. That's not what I'm looking for. Movement does not handle naval movement. Naval affairs. Naval movement and escorts. I mean, I would expect this to be where I was, right? The sections I was reading about. But it doesn't tell me what action I have to do to accomplish this. And there is this weird action that allows me to build or send a naval squadron to the exploration map, right? I think that's different. That's not moving a now. I have to conclude that I can move the nows. Now, I remember ocean zones not being adjacent to the main map in any sense of the word. But maybe I'm missing something. I don't fucking know. I guess I just have to make up the rules here in terms of, like, you know, not absolutely, but the only way that I can see. So the naval escort, what the fuck is that? Build send naval squadron to exploration map. Let's say send naval transport, right? Yeah, that's a special thing. See, they're very careful here. They say you use the send naval action. The only thing I can conclude is that I can move my nous along with all my other fleets if that's what I desire. Where am I again? I'm lost because I don't know what I want to fucking do with my Portuguese. Again, I don't have this overview. And that leads to two things. One, I can't make any decisions. And two, I will not get a narrative out of this game. I kind of like being able to make decisions and have things clearly in front of me that I can look at and say, well, this is obviously what I want to do to accomplish my strategy, right? I don't want to be tied down into, you know, trying to figure out the points on the cards and all that shit, right? That's no fun for me. So that's got to be a very light, you know, the game has to be pretty light for that to be enjoyable, not at the lightest end of CBGs. And then, yeah, I'm just, you know, I feel like I'm just going to blunder around the way I felt in Virgin Queen. And I just don't feel like I have anything that I know what I'm trying to do. All right, let's do this. So, controlled spaces that I occupy containing no enemies are controlled spaces that are unoccupied within the Beltranejos home spaces. Well, at the beginning, and I don't know who occupies, right? Like, if this is linked just to the Beltranejos power, I'm not sure. Do they occupy this? Yeah, they have some forces there. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces that I occupy, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces that I don't occupy. The die rolls, it would be useful. Oh wait, I may occupy this. Who knows? And I occupy this. All right, so we're going to go for occupied spaces because I get more die rolls. Much as I would like to defend this, I think it's kind of a lost cause. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 5s and 6s. And I'll just roll and see what I get. I don't really want to do this in real time on video, but I don't know what else to do. So here, for example, I don't get anything. I control this one, I guess. I occupy it with Portuguese. I think that may be enough. I get nothing. This one up here. Okay, I get a militia, I guess. With Alfonso. And then we work here. And I'll come back when I decide what I'm moving. I gotta swap batteries anyway. Fuck, I just read the reroll on 4s. And I know I got at least a couple of 4s. I don't remember where the fuck they were. Fucking annoying. I spent 2 of my 4 moving down this way into Seville. I can't besiege Seville. It is possible for me. I can't besiege it right away, but there's too many troops in Seville for a siege to be the automatic situation. So it comes down to, do the Spaniards want to withdraw? And I think they do, because I am outnumbered. And I think I checked, and I really don't have any combat cards. I have a response here that I don't think helps me. I scan through. If a home card has a response on it, fuck me. I'm, unable to do anything with it, like to remember that it does or whatever. I think what I want to do is I want to try to withdraw away. So, and I may leave a strength point behind to keep the siege there. I look for the avoid battle procedure then. And I'll try to fall back to Cordoba. All but 1 unit. I roll 2 dice and add the leader. I got to get a 9 here. Oh wait, there's Cav. Hold on, there's Cav modifier to this. Okay, so we paw through. I know I've got 1 Cav there. I don't know if that's a Cav or not. Stupid images. I think it is. So that gets me to 2 Cav. There are no 2 Cav markers, but you can flip one over because it's not regulars. Okay, so I've got 2 Cav, which is probably more than he has. He has 1 Cav. So that should be a penalty against me. So I need a natural 9 to get out of there, which I do. So what I'm going to do is split this into a couple, take 1 with me, and fall back. And now we have a siege there. Now I spent 1/2 of my movement, which I've recorded there. That means I have 2 more points. I thought about building a Naus, but my overseas kingdom lets me build one, and I'm only able to explore the first space anyway. So no biggie there. So I don't want to do that yet. For the other 2, I don't know what to do. You see, what you really want to do is probably build your forces before you move, right? But I'm always being left with, okay, what I want to do is I want to move my forces, and then it's like, okay, I got some extra. What do I fucking do with that? I built myself militia. Technically, I should put these here, but I don't want to confuse my card thing, so I'm gonna slip that under there. Take these, put them here. So what I managed to do was I managed to establish a siege, and I built like a militia in each of these spaces, making them a little bit more defensible while I'm moving Alfonso with the main force. Yeah, he's called Afonso. No L in there for the Portuguese. Okay. And that will put me on the Spanish turn, and I've moved another piece as far as I'm concerned. You know. I'm not sure that Here I Stand was any easier right to begin with, but, you know, in terms of like, yeah, there are a lot of options there and everything. The problem is there's a whole shit ton here. There's significantly more here, and I just don't see myself getting a level of comfort ever that I can see sort of the strategic picture from any side. It feels like each side has too many goals and too many options available to it for me to be comfortable. Some of them may just be lousy, whatever, but all right. I don't really have anything else to do today, right? Or any day, but no, but seriously, this would be a perfect day to be sucked into a game. But what I'm finding myself doing is just wanting to run away, and I'm just watching videos and eating. You know, these are my escapes. Maybe I'll sleep. I don't know. So one of the problems with the CDGs, the bubble maps as well, is you can't really use intuition to guide you very much. It's not like there's a lot of detail in subsystems or anything like that. The systems are baked into the cards, and so it's hard to judge what's real. Anyway, that was what I was thinking on my way up here, trying to convince myself to do another turn. I'm looking at the Spanish cards. First of all, I think, although it's not absolutely clear from my memories, I think I can't like create. So here it says add 4 units of any type to home spaces. But this is the home card for Aragon. If I use this for points, I know that I couldn't build other stuff with it. Like, I'm not sure that it's spelled out. I don't recall something like that, that if you use the event, it does that. But again, you know, I've got to make a guess, right? Either that or paw through the rules some more. And likewise, Seat of Empire. So this is the Castilian card, and this one allows me to do funky shit as well. Looking through my other cards, look, some of these look really cool. Like I've got the Master of Siege Artillery and the Sack. That would be helpful for me conducting a siege in Catalonia. So that's appealing in some way. I look at this Poison Wine. Nice, valuable card. Select a leader counter on the map and put it on the turn track. So I can automatically remove a leader, but I don't know if there's any leader who's worth a 5-point card, right? The leader would come back into play. Another thing I'm not sure of how to cope with is we got the mandatory events for a turn, whatnot. What we don't have is when these leaders come into play. So Barbarossa, I know, comes in with a card. Borgia, I'm not sure about Bencomo. I don't know, you know. I assume all these things are triggered by cards, but again, because there's no like turn sheet of leaders being removed, leaders being added, or anything of that nature. I'm assuming it's all baked into the card deck. I don't remember anything of that nature either. And again, the burden of what can be remembered and what can't, and the amount that I know I can't remember about this game, leaves me in question, but I don't want to paw through the rules on every single fucking thing. So, one big question is, what the hell do I want to do? Part of me says building troops is a good idea at this point. Holding this card would be valuable. But maybe setting up and, beginning the siege of Barcelona would be a good idea too. It's like, I just don't know. I don't know which thing to choose. So far, because Portugal goes before me, the Beltranejos and the Nazarids, because they also go before me, have done something. And I'm like, wow, I need to react to the shit that they've done. But I can jump a move, essentially, on the Catalonians and move more rapidly against them. So, again, trying to balance out these ideas to figure out what the fuck to do. Feels like France is a long way away. It might be a good idea to squish the Catalonians before they can grow into a problem. Because of that, I'm going to play the cheapest card of all, reduce the loyalty of 2 French noble house markers by 2 levels each. Or from 5 houses by 1 each. I like the 5 houses by 1 each, but that doesn't make sense, because there are only 4 houses that I can do by 1. So, let's take a look. Navarra's as low as it can be. I'd like to make it the people who are closest to me. Not Alençon. But there's not 2 that I can reduce by 2 each either. So I can reduce by 3 or I can reduce by 4. I'll do a reduction of 1 each for everyone. That gets me 2 CPs. I couldn't really think of a hell of a lot that I want to do with cards. That big poison card, yeah, that might be the best move. That gives me 2 CPs. I've got 1 I could move John. Let's not be stupid this time. He's got 6, 7. So for the artillery doesn't count. For the 1 extra point, I think I'm going to give Mendoza has enough to hold himself in place. I think I'm going to give myself, I guess, a militia for Isabel. I got a better idea. I want to go to naval action, because I'm not going to be able to siege Barcelona while these fleets are out here. And I've got a leader, so I can move into here, and I think these guys turn that way. I have a fleet here I can't get out because of Jerez. I've got a fleet here. My war with Portugal puts me in a bad situation with that, but I can put this here in the Cantabrian Sea. And then I'm going to move into place. But right now, I have 1 movement point, 1 action left. Now, there is an interception possibility here. I probably want to take it for the French. And I don't particularly want to flee here, because then I'm giving up whatever advantage I have. What else do I own? Papacy's too far away. Naples doesn't have boats. I'm just checking whether there's boats anywhere else that can go. All right, so I think I need a 9. Let's look at naval interception. Should be it's the same rules as the other side. I'm just looking to see if there's any modifiers to it, but I can't even find it. Battle rating. Okay. Anything else? We do not get the 9 or more, so I don't get an interception in the Cantabrian Sea. We'll just shift that this way. This one, do I want to avoid the naval battle? Avoiding the naval battle would mean running away, so we have a fight there. And we go to naval combat. We look at the French cards to see if they have anything to play. For a land battle, again, we have to look up what the values are. Do I have anything useful here? I don't believe I do. And there's nothing on here to handle this. Okay. So the combat charts, you have to flip through the rules to find that information each time. And again, maybe there's play aids for it, but I got too many play aids as it is. I got too much state information here. The rule book is actually simpler for me to cope with once you get this much. It's just horrible. It's horrible, man. Okay, so the attacker gets 1 die for each Corsair and 2 for each naval squadron. That's going to give them 4 dice. And again, not the colors I want, right? And 1 die for a battle rating point of the leaders. The French on the defense get 2 dice for each naval squadron. That's going to give them 4. 1 die for battle rating, no. But 1 die for battle if they're happening in Ragusa. Okay, so the Spaniards have the advantage. I didn't see any combat cards on either side. 5s and 6s are our hits. No hits here. 2 hits on the French. How do those get allocated? Each side eliminates 1 naval squadron for each 2. The player losing gets to choose what's eliminated. I'll take a Catalonian, because those may be harder to get back, but I also may not have Catalonia. And then, naval leaders are put on the turn track. Naval units are also placed there. Okay, so this goes up here. Confusing things because I've put some there to try to remind me, when something's allowed to be played. Because again, there's no chronology here that tells me what can be done on a given turn or whatnot. Again, might be in the player aids. That one I really wish there was. A chronology of things that you do. But, unless somebody came up with the idea of putting these things up here like I did, that chronology isn't really helpful, right? I need... I don't know. All right. And then the other side retreats to an adjacent port under his control. We'll sail to Marseille. These slip like this. We have completed another action? Not yet. We still have 1 more move here. I could move here, but this guy could intercept. 2, 4, 5, 9. We're going to try to intercept with those French. Now, am I screwing something up by possibly exposing a pathway there? Yeah. I should have kept 2 moves. But I want to set up for the siege. That'll force the French to do something with Hugs Roger or whatever there. And, if he doesn't do something with him, then I can conduct siege. If he does, I can maybe use Ferdinand to do things. I don't know. I should be a +1 on the interception, though. And that's going to be a success. So good old Hugs Roger will take his entire force to here, and we're going to have a battle in this space. And I'm allowed to bring those additional, the forces that were already there into the battle. I don't know if I had a reaction card for any of this, so we'll check. I know the French have a reaction card for withdrawing from combat, but that's not what we want to do. And nobody else wants to play their reaction cards, you know, to help one side or the other at this point. That's for sure. Often weird things in the interception rules and whatnot is, who's the attacker? The rules are clear on it. It's the active player. But it is kind of a funny situation, right? Like one game will say, you know, one thing, one will say another, and once you've played a few of these bubble map games, you start getting to the feeling of, I never know what the answer is, and maybe I finally get used to it when I'm halfway through a game, you know? But because you've played others, you just know. And the same would apply to an area movement like an Empires in Arms or whatever. But the problem is that there just doesn't seem to be an across-the-board standard. Sure, this is relying on the Here I Stand system, but then, you know, I've got the No Peace system and the Napoleonic Wars-based ones and everything. And each one, you know, has its own little differences that are like that, and you can't remember unless you just shut your mind and don't play any of the others and only play one type of, you know, one flavor of CDG. So in this particular case, the Spaniards have, I think, 9 dice here. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 total. 7 of them from unit strength, 1 from the leader, 1 because they're having the cav charge. The Catalonians have 10 dice. They have cav as well, but they're not charging with them because they have. They figure they have the advantage. Throwing an extra die in means I'd lose that cav. I can choose not to lose that cav otherwise, and I may need the advantage. It's kind of a weird thing, but being in the disadvantage, you definitely want a cav charge because you might be losing lots of units anyway. I don't know. You know, cav is expensive, but it does get that extra die when you want it. It's a hard call for me. You'll notice I've switched away from the dice that the game comes with. I'm going to use these as markers and whatnot. They're fucking useless. They're too big. There's not enough of them. You're playing a buckets of dice game with this kind of quantity of dice. The game doesn't come, you know, it comes with 12 dice total. Much easier to just have bunches of same colored dice that, you know, I can roll together. And this way I can put them all in one big hand fist and roll them up. So I want to point out the annoyance factor of the 4s. It's this additional little complexity added. I think Here I Stand just use 5s and 6s for battle dice as hits. No, nothing special here. Here, you've got to do this extra little bit of calculation before you roll, basically, for how many 4s you're going to need. So 2 dice from regulars, from cav, from... Okay, so both sides are going to get 1 4 for sure. Did you get 4 or more dice from those sections? Oh, fuck. I don't know. What is the list? Regular, cav, from being defender, from defending in a strategic space. I think both have 4 dice. So these are not regulars. So I've got 2, 3. Maybe not. Cav, being defender, defender in strategic, regular. You know what? I think the attacker is only getting 1 of those. All the more reason that the defender does not want to waste their cav charge on this. Results are not good for either side, really. 2 losses for each. I think that means the defender wins the battle and forces the attacker back. But, yeah, not impressive. Now, the attacker has to take a cav loss. There's additional, you know, annoyances, right? Because it's handling all these different types of units and whatnot. And again, if it was handled on paper the way empires in arms, EU, handle their combat units, it would be fine. Because, so you take your casualties, the first, if it's a charge, first has to be a cav unit, fine. Of the rest, at least half have to be from regulars or cav. Blah, 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 and then, national interactions and whatnot. And you really end up, pawing through the pieces, playing around, making change and all that. It just feels so complicated for the type of game this is. This feels like it's a geopolitical game and probably shouldn't be as worried about different types of units, different ways the combat system feels overly complex for the type of game it is, right? I don't feel like Here I Stand had that problem. And then on top of that, I tried to make change from the Portuguese units because they look the same color to me as the Aragonese units. Yes, I can tell the difference, but not right away, and I've complained about that before. Anyhow, that's going to put me on the French turn, and once again, I played a card, and I'm wiped out. I'm just like in no position to cope with continuing on. One would hope, that I could come up here and play a turn through, right? That's how I felt with Here I Stand, from my memory. With more burdensome CDGs, I found, and maybe I'll get to that with this, I can play a sequence, a whole round of, whole round of impulses, right? One for each player, and that's how I was with EU Pop and whatnot. And then I go downstairs. But at this point, I'm not at that level yet. I'm at the level of I'm having to work so fucking hard, and then when I roll the combat, the combat's overcomplicated, like I said. Just everything is overburdened in this game. Everything. For my tastes, I'm not saying that I don't appreciate the detail. I just don't think you can get away with that detail in a CDG. I really don't. I think that other mechanisms work a lot better. Ones that allow you to consider your whole turn rather than taking one little action, one little card's worth of action at a time, picking off some points. It's just too interactive, too interleaved for me to feel like I can switch gears easily enough. And honestly, it's not just playing solo, right? Certainly that adds to the burden in a way. But again, like I've said many times, when I'm playing these games opposed, it's not my turn. I'm not focusing on everything, right? If I'm playing EU and it's not my turn, I don't have to focus. When it's my turn, I focus, I do all my stuff. Then I turn, and because gaming with other people is primarily a social occupation for me as opposed to anything else, it's a way, to have a fun thing that you can hang out with people and, enjoy chatting about the history of the time or whatever, or about, things you like and don't like about the game, or unfortunately, in at least one of the groups that I was in, about the fucking football game that was just on or whatever. But it's not. I don't play games to be constantly engaged in the game, to be constantly waiting to play my next action or whatever. If I want to do that, I play bridge. Play the French turn, and then load this up. I think. It's almost raid time, but I feel like it's a good idea to get the first round of card plays done. Do it as a 1A or whatever. The French have some interesting stuff going on. First of all, the Papal Bull card is kind of intriguing. Discard a card from a Christian player hand if he is allied with the Muslim player or at war with the papacy. Now take 4 CP of action. I don't know if Spain is at war with the papacy. Again, this is a weird sort of thing. They're not defined as at war here, but the papacy is allied to me, and and there's a war between France and Spain. So what does that mean? These territories are controlled by the French now. They got them. I don't know. Like, I'm going to say, yeah, they're at war. But again, there's a lot of terms and stuff that are not well defined in this game because of the way that the diplomacy situation works. I don't know if a minor who is controlled by a major that's at war and thus, you know, suffers all the possible effects of being at war is considered at war. But yeah, but I do have, so I have some that are useless to me, except for points. Choose an unfortified settlement in an ocean zone that belongs to an opponent in an ocean zone you've explored. I'm not allowed to go into any, I could hold this forever, but I would rather just play it for its points at some point. The one I'm most intrigued with, though, is I still have Barcelona, and if it's controlled by Catalonia, the French player draws a card and takes 3 CPs of actions. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it feels like this is not going to be an option for me for a lot of the time in the game. Barcelona may fall. So I like the idea of doing this. Now, this is a Catalonian home card, which means I think I can only do stuff with the Catalonians. The nice thing about it is I get a card for this, right? So yes, I'm blowing a 5-point card. I'm losing 2 CP, but, well, it didn't turn out great. But I do get a powerful combat card out of it, which could be useful. What am I going to do with my 3 CPs? I don't know, because the Catalonians are, you know, this Hugs Roger here, he's not all that strong. But John's kind of weak right now, so maybe I can push the attack forward. We performed what we thought was a really cool move. Using our first CP to move into here, Spaniards did not manage to run away. I play my combat card, surprise attack, do a cav charge. I managed to hit most of the units. Zhao's down to 1 infantry unit, basically, a militia, and his own strength point, and 1 for being defender. So he only gets 3 dice in defense, but he hits with all 3 of them. He still has to retreat, but he ended up doing a significant amount of damage to good old Hugs Roger there. I don't have any great follow-up with this next point. Now, I could spend a point to convert the space, but that doesn't really help me. It would be necessary if I was continuing on with a siege or whatever. Ferdinand here should have tried to intercept instead of trying to withdraw. Oops. Either way, I wouldn't have made it. The die roll was really bad, but this was not as advantageous a space to be in. So now the question is what to do with my remaining points. And this is sort of continually my problem here. I could build a naval squadron, but I don't have one for the Catalonians. This is not a Catalonian card, is it? Yeah, it is. Right? Yeah, so I don't think I can build a French naval squadron down there. I could fiddle around. I could consolidate power. That's not got an asterisk, so I think I could do some of that, and that seems like a pretty good idea. I can't move units because, again, this is the Catalonian home card, and I don't know where I'm going to tuck it. There's just not a lot of room because my table is so crowded. Anjou is special. I think he can march down as a Catalan force, controlling French units. So why don't I spend one of the points to make it up there, and then the other to make it down here. Gather up some more Catalans. The other option would be to fall back, but that feels like an iffy choice. And I gotta figure out how to get that away. All right, so that is the end of the first round around the table. Put a couple of these green dice over there. I'm gonna load this up because, again, I feel like I've gone into more detail than I'm gonna wanna go into as we go forward. Although with CDGs, it's very hard to step back too far because, look, most of the decision making is looking at your hand of cards and figuring out what to play, right? And most of the reporting, it comes, you know, each player does one little thing. So, well, not one little thing in this. In the Here I Stand segment of the CDG games, it's not quite that easy. Like in a lot of them, it's like, oh, I get to trigger a leader and move him. In these, it's the number of spaces you get to move is the CPs you spend. So you can do multiple things, and you can take all kind of choices off the menu and everything, which does work to be a more complicated design. I think a more burdensome one than the more standard, you pay your initiative off a card to be able to move, you know, and that's kind of about it, right? And then you spend movement points doing stuff within that. But yeah, where are we so far? Well, for a recap, the Muslims managed to put a couple of places under siege without getting much effect. The Portuguese put Seville under siege. Even though there's a fleet there, they can do that because that fleet doesn't really help without control of Jerez. What did the Spaniards do? Not much. I don't even recall. Like, this is the thing. I lose the narrative because I'm not doing a turn at a time. I'm doing a card and trying to do all kinds of things off that card. I know we had the naval battle over here. I think we tried to hit Hugs with the in Catalonia. And so, yeah, that's been the major Spanish factor. And the French come back and do what they just did. What is, you know, you also feel really, really limited in terms of what you can do. Look, France wants to do all kinds of things, right? They want to go take Metz. They want to improve the points so they get more cards, which is the income of the game and is really important. They have all this shit they want to do, but then I look at my cards and I'm like, yeah, but this is the card I need to play, and this, that, and the other. And I just feel like I'm making decisions not as a priority of what I want to do strategically, but as an effect of what does my fucking hand tell me to do? And it becomes entirely kind of like, I feel like a badminton bird being batted back and forth when I play some of these games. I don't feel that as badly with the simpler ones, as you know, but it's just another analogy of how this is so fucked up, like, and antithetical to the way I like to play games. There's something I respect about the newer design types to some extent, but as I said in another video, I'm tiring of them. I'm really tiring of them. I feel like the interactivity, the interleaving of actions, the pulsing, all that, it's just gone overboard. And stuff that works fine to make a really simple game interesting makes a game that should be interesting on its subject matter and its depth too great a burden to play. I don't, that's probably the best way I can put it, is that these mechanisms take a very simple game and raise it to a different level of gameplay strategy and whatnot. And that I just don't feel that that's necessary when you have the amount of detail that a game like this is expressing. Or, to put it the other way, which I've done several times already, the CDG system gets overburdened when you start putting too much detail onto a CDG style game. But it's interesting because it goes both ways for me, right? It's like, what makes a CDG interesting, what makes a CDG so appealing is that it takes an otherwise simple design and makes it more exciting and makes the choices more difficult. But you don't need more difficult choices with something with this level of detail. In fact, I see them as a big hindrance. All right, let's load this up.